Welcome to the AstroNarrator, where the universe becomes a story. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The underground chamber breathed like a living thing. Moist air expanded and collapsed in slow pulses, carrying the faint smell of rusted iron, old ashes, and something older, something that didn't belong to Earth time or memory. A dim blue glow lined the cracked stones, as if the room itself remembered the centuries it had guarded a secret too dangerous to speak aloud, that a lone human walked into this forgotten tomb. Elias and Ellera, 27, historian by training, treasure hunter by obsession, and a man who didn't believe in legends until tonight. His flashlight trembled in his hand as the beam landed on the centerpiece of the chamber, a stone coffin wrapped in chains forged from metals no science had ever cataloged. They shimmered faintly, reacting to his presence like they could smell new life. Carved deep across the sarcophagus lid were ancient runes, half erased by time, half burned by something far more violent. He leaned closer. One rune still glowed. It translated to only 3 words. Do not touch. Elias exhaled through a shaky laugh. Yeah, that always means treasure. He stepped forward, unaware that the chamber shifted behind him. Air thickened. Shadows stretched. A pulse, soft and rhythmic, tremored through the stone floor, like the heartbeat of something sleeping. When his hand brushed the side of the coffin, a second heartbeat joined the first. Not the chamber this time. His own, fast, erratic, warning him. He ignored it. Elias traced along the chained edges until something cold brushed his fingers. A metal edge. A blade. It rested against the coffin like it had fallen from the hands of someone lying inside. Black as a starless void, thin as moonlight, and humming, and oh, not humming, whispering. Elias froze. The sound saturated the air, not spoken, not breathed, felt a cold prickle stab the back of his neck. The blade vibrated. His mind screamed to pull back. But curiosity, a fatal, human curiosity, overpowered everything. Elias wrapped his hand around the hilt. The world stopped. The chamber stopped breathing. The heartbeat under the ground halted. The blue glow snapped into darkness. Only the blade lived. And then, a female voice slid into his skull like velvet dipped in ice. Missed me. Elias stumbled backward, dropping the weapon. The blade didn't fall. It hovered, weightless, suspended between him and the coffin like it had been waiting 2 centuries for someone foolish enough to wake it. A soft crack split the air. The chains around the sarcophagus snapped one by one, not breaking, melting like wax under a flame. Blue fire streaked along the coffin lid, illuminating the chamber with violent pulses of light. Elias scrambled backward. No. This wasn't in any record. The lid of the coffin slid aside with a low, ancient growl that a body lay inside. A woman, and something shaped like a woman. Her skin was pale silver, patterns etched like constellations across her arms. Her hair spilled around her like liquid night. And though her eyes were closed, Elias sensed something impossible. She was seeing him without sight, awake without awakening. Her chest didn't rise. Her body didn't move, but the blade drifted toward her hand like a loyal pet returning home. Elias whispered, "This can't be real." The woman's lips parted slightly. Her first breath in 200 years filled the chamber with frost. Her eyes opened. Not human. Not alien. Not alive. Not dead. Twin pools of radiant void, moving like galaxies collapsing inward. 200 years. Her voice echoed without her mouth moving, a telepathic ripple that pressed against his skull. Who dares touch my blade? I didn't know, Elias stammered. She stood. The entire chamber shook like it feared her. Her voice grew smoother, almost playful, almost cruel. You woke the deadliest warrior that ever lived. She stepped out of the coffin, bare feet touching the stone with a sound like cracking ice. And now, her blade snapped back in her hand with a sonic boom. You belong to me. The room erupted, stone shattered. Light exploded, shadows screamed. Elias covered his face as the air around her warped, bending the laws of physics like fragile glass. When the storm ended, she stood inches from him. Her face near his, her breath cold on his cheek. She tilted her head, studying him. A human woke me, she murmured, as if tasting the words. How adorably reckless. Her fingers brushed his jaw, a touch both intimate and dangerous. I haven't felt a heartbeat in centuries. She smiled. And yours is delicious. The ground cracked beneath him. The warrior leaned closer, whispered against his ear, Run, little human, so I can remember what the hunt feels like. The chamber collapsed behind Elias with a roar that swallowed every sound except his own heartbeat, pounding like a trapped animal against his ribs. Dust clouded the air, thick enough to choke him as he stumbled down the ancient staircase carved into the earth. Every step shook beneath him as if the underground cage he had just opened was collapsing in fury. Behind him, she followed. Not walking, not running, simply existing too close to a presence that bent the air, bent the darkness, bent reality. Elias sprinted through the narrow tunnel, lungs burning, flashlight beam shaking violently as he scanned for an exit. But the deeper he ran, the more he realized he wasn't escaping, he was being herded. The stone walls trembled with each pulse of her power as dust rained like dead snow. He could hear her voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere at once. Still running? How precious! He pushed harder, stumbling, nearly falling face first into the damp ground. His breath came fast, too fast. Panic spread through him like venom. Then the temperature dropped. Instantly, his breath crystallized in midair. Frost crawled over the walls, sealing them in sheets of shimmering ice. His flashlight flickered and died. Darkness didn't just fill the tunnel, IT devoured it. Elias froze. Please stop. The darkness responded. IT whispered his name. Not in fear, not in anger, but in seduction. Elias, her voice slid through the ice, smooth as sin, cold as void. You woke me. You touched my blade. You tasted my memory. He wasn't sure if his legs were shaking or if the ground itself trembled. She stepped into view slowly, not emerging from the shadows, forming from them. First her outline, then her silver skin, glowing faintly. Then her hair, swirling unnaturally like liquid darkness in zero gravity. And finally, her eyes, black galaxies filled with collapsing light. She took one slow step toward him. Elias backed away till his spine pressed against the frozen wall. You said run, he whispered. She smiled. IT wasn't human. IT wasn't sane. You ran beautifully, she purred. It reminded me of old times, before humans feared the night, and before the night feared me. Her blade hovered beside her, orbiting like a loyal star. Then it drifted forward, toward Elias. He gasped as the tip pressed lightly under his chin. What are you? He stuttered. She tilted her head. I was once called a goddess, she whispered. Once called a monster. Once called a weapon. Her fingers lifted his chin gently. But I've slept so long. I've forgotten which one I liked most. Elias swallowed, throat trembling against the cold metal. Why? Why were you sealed away? Her smile dimmed slightly, and for the first time, Elias sensed something else beneath her cruelty, pained at a deep, ancient wound. She leaned closer, her voice brushing the shell of his ear. Because I loved a human. She paused, and humans betrayed me. Her breath hit his neck, freezing a patch of skin instantly. So tell me. Her hand slid to his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Should I forgive the new one who wakes me, or finish what history began? The blade hummed at his throat. He shut his eyes. Kill me if you want, he whispered. I didn't mean to wake you. I swear. She didn't pull the blade away, but she didn't strike either. Instead, she inhaled sharply at a sound like someone smelling sunlight for the first time. You smell like fear, she whispered, and honesty. A pause. And something else, something I haven't tasted in centuries. Her cold fingers traced his jaw. Hope. Elias opened his eyes slowly. Her face was inches from his, beautiful, terrifying, otherworldly, a contradiction woven from shadow and starlight. He forced his voice out. What do you want from me? Her answer shook the tunnel. A bond. The ice cracked violently. A link. The walls groaned. A connection I lost 200 years ago. The ground shattered under their feet. And if you reject it, her eyes flashed like dying suns. I will tear this world apart until I find someone who won't. The tunnel split with a deafening boom. Elias fell backward as the stone floor gave way. He tumbled into a cavern lit by veins of glowing blue crystals. Pain ripped through his body as he hit the ground hard. Rolling to a stop, above, she floated down through the collapsing hole. Graceful, silent, powerful enough to crush a mountain. She offered her hand. I am blind without my blade, she said softly, but not without you. Elias stared at her in terror and awe. Why me? A slow smile pulled at her lips. Because the blade spoke to you. Her fingers curled slightly, urging him. And it never speaks unless the soul is compatible. The cavern shook again, louder this time. Massive pillars toppled. Stones rained from above. The whole underground complex was coming down. She extended her hand farther, voice now calm, almost gentle. Elias, take my hand. He hesitated. The ceiling cracked opened, a boulder the size of a car plummeted toward him, but he grabbed her hand. Time stopped. The falling rock froze mid-air inches from his face, held by her telekinetic force. She flicked her wrist. The boulder shattered into dust. She pulled him close. Good, she whispered. Now the bond begins. Her lips touched his forehead, cold, electric, burning and freezing at the same time. Elias screamed. Every memory he ever had, every fear, every dream, every heartbeat, flashed before his eyes in a tidal wave of psychic force. Her memories slammed into him next. Wars on burning planets, stars collapsing, but a lover's betrayal, the blade forged from her own soul, and a whispered promise, I will return for you. The psychic storm ripped the cavern apart. When it ended, Elias collapsed to his knees, gasping for air, trembling violently. She knelt beside him. Do you feel it? She whispered. He nodded weakly. I can hear your thoughts, and I, she said, placing a hand to his chest, can feel your heartbeat as if it is my own. Her eyes glowed brighter. You are mine now. A pause, and I am awake. The cavern's remaining walls caved in, but she lifted her hand, and reality bent around them. Elias woke to silence. Not the natural kind. The silence felt engineered, designed, as if reality itself was holding its breath. He opened his eyes. He wasn't underground anymore. He lay on what looked like a floating platform of black stone, suspended in a space that wasn't a cave, wasn't a room, wasn't a place that should exist within gravity or physics. The void around him stretched infinitely. Stars hung motionless in the darkness like frozen sparks. Nebulas pulsed softly in the distance, and beneath the floating platform was nothing, just a bottomless cosmic abyss. A whisper brushed his ear. Easy, human. He jolted upright. She stood at the platform's edge, the deadliest warrior the universe had ever sealed away, her silver skin glowing softly against the starlit void. Her hair drifted like shadow underwater, weightless and alive. And her eyes no longer looked dead. They were awake, focused, hungry. Elias rubbed his temples. Where am I? She stepped toward him, bare feet gliding across the black stone as if she were weightless too. This is the rift between worlds, she said. My sanctuary, my prison, my birthplace. Her voice vibrated through the air like music played on broken glass. This is where I waited for 200 years. Elias swallowed. This isn't Earth. No, she replied softly. It is the place your world forgot, and the place that never forgot you. He stood shakily. Did you bring me here? Her lips curved. You touched my blade. You allowed the bond. You chose me. I didn't choose. Elias stopped as the platform trembled beneath them. Her pupils dilated slightly, and she leaned close, her voice a silken warning. Do not lie to me, Elias. The bond carries more truth than your words ever will. A chill crawled down his spine, and then the platform cracked. Thin fractures spread like spiderwebs across the black stone, glowing with a dangerous red light. Elias staggered back, panic flashing across his face. What's happening? She tightened her jaw. The rift is reacting to our connection. It senses a new threat. A threat. Elias's voice trembled. What threat? She looked directly into his eyes. You. The cracks widened. Elias froze. Me? Why would I be a threat? Her gaze darkened with something ancient. Fear, regret, longing, danger. Because you're the first human in centuries whose soul resonates with mine. The light beneath them grew brighter, angry, burning. And the rift believes what I once believed. Her voice softened. That humans destroy everything they touch. The stone around them shattered. Elias gasped as the platform disintegrated beneath his feet, dropping him into the endless void. But she caught him. Her arms wrapped around him midair, weightless in the star-filled abyss. Elias clung to her instinctively as the shattered platform floated away in fragments like dying meteors. She whispered, Don't fear the fall. Fear why the rift tried to kill you. Elias looked down. Nothing but infinity. Her grip tightened. Our bond is stronger than I predicted, she murmured. It is awakening memories, power, emotions that were dormant for centuries. Emotions? Elias whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she lifted her hand, and the void bent around them. Stars twisted. Nebulas imploded. Space folded like a sheet of paper, A new platform formed beneath their feet. This one made of smooth, glass-like energy, pulsing blue with every beat of her heart. They landed gently. She stepped back from him slowly. Elias, listen to me very carefully. Her tone shifted, sharper, colder. If the rift can sense our bond, so can they. Elias stiffened. Who's they? Her eyes flickered with a flame that wasn't light, but memory. The order of veil breakers. The ones who hunted my kind, who sealed me in stone, who burned my world to ash. Her voice trembled with a rage that echoed across the cosmos. They made one promise. If I ever woke again, they would finish what they started. Elias felt something tighten in his chest. Fear, yes, but also something else. Her hand brushed his cheek, barely, gently, almost human. You were not meant to find me. Her voice lowered, soft as morning. The universe is cruel to humans who touch destiny. Before Elias could respond, a violent shudder rippled through the void. She spun sharply. Elias followed her gaze. Far beyond the dark nebulae, something moved at a black shape. Enormous, alive, and watching that Elias's breath caught. What is that? Her blade materialized in her hand with a metallic roar that shook the air. A hunter, she whispered, sent by the order. Drawn by the bond. The creature emerged fully, a monstrous silhouette with wings made of obsidian shards, a skull-like face with glowing red runes, and claws long enough to tear planets apart. The void around it warped as it let out a soundless scream. Elias stepped back. Oh my God, do not run. Her voice was hard now. Warrior mode awakened. If you run now, it will follow your soul across lifetimes. The creature dove. The void shook violently. Stars shattered like glass. Waves of dark energy exploded outward. She raised her hand. The glass platform shattered into 1,000 neon fragments, each forming into a hovering shield that surrounded Elias. She stood in front of him like a goddess forged from the night sky. Her blade pointed toward the incoming creature. She whispered without turning, Elias, whatever happens next, a pause. Do not let go of me. The hunter smashed into them. But instead of impact, everything went white, a blinding, burning white. Elias felt his mind tear open, felt her consciousness slam into his, felt something ancient awaken, something inside him. Something that shouldn't exist. He saw a flash, himself standing in an ancient temple, holding her blade centuries ago, her voice whispering, find me again. Then, darkness, the light collapsed, the void reassembled. The world snapped back into shape. Elias gasped, collapsing to his knees. She knelt beside him, eyes wide in disbelief. Elias, her voice trembled. That power, the memory you saw, the connection we share. She touched his face gently, almost reverently. You weren't just the one who woke me. Her eyes widened with a mix of wonder and terror. You were the first one who loved me, 200 years ago. Elias froze. The void around them pulsed, an echo of a forgotten heartbeat. She leaned in, her lips inches from his. Not seducing, not hunting, remembering. Miss me? She whispered again, but this time, not as a threat, a memory, a promise, a reunion. The void trembled. Not from the hunter, not from the collapsing platforms, not from the cosmic storms tearing across the horizon. He trembled because of Elias. He knelt on the glowing surface, breath ragged, eyes unfocused, chest rising and falling in violent tremors as he tried to process the impossible memory forced into him. His voice came out as a broken whisper. I knew you. Long before today. She didn't answer. She only stared at him, stunned, shaken, exposed. The strongest warrior in galaxies, suddenly looking like someone who'd been stabbed through the soul. Elias lifted his shaking hand. I saw myself 200 years ago. I was holding her blade. I said I'd find you. Her throat tightened. She wasn't breathing. Her blade dimmed. The void darkened. Time seemed to hesitate. Then she whispered, slowly, painfully, like dragging a memory out of a grave. You weren't supposed to remember. Elias blinked. What? Her eyes glimmered. Not with power, but with an emotion far rarer in her. Fear, because she said, the last human I loved, the first human you were, died because of me. Elias felt his heartbeat freeze. The void rippled like disturbed water. The warrior turned away, her hair drifting around her like a shadow storm. When the order found out, I loved a human, she said softly. They hunted us. They tore him from me. They blinded me with my own blade. And when he sacrificed himself to keep me alive, she lifted her palm, A faint scar glowed there. They seal me away. She breathed in sharply, a painful, trembling breath. I tried to forget him. Forget you. Her voice cracked. But your soul didn't forget me. The words twisted through Elias's chest like a knife, that a sudden quake erupted through the void. Elias staggered. What is that? She spun toward him, eyes wide. Your memory returning has awakened something older than the rift, older than me. The air thickened. A new sound came from the cosmic dark. Not a roar, not a scream, but a heartbeat. Deep, slowed up planet-sized. The void trembled with each thump. Elias whispered, terrified. What is that? Another hunter? No, her voice dropped into a whisper filled with dread. That is the primordial Atlas, the being that created the bond one share with you. The void behind her split open like torn fabric, revealing a monstrous silhouette the size of a moon. It had no body, no form. Only endless tendrils of living stardust, eyes made of collapsing galaxies, and a mouth shaped from broken black holes. Elias couldn't breathe. Its voice vibrated inside their bones. The bond has reawakened. Elias fell to his knees, clutching his chest as agony ripped through him, the bond pulling at his soul. The warrior grabbed him instantly, holding his face between her icy palms. Elias, listen to me. The Atlas forged our bond centuries ago. It bound us when you became my protector and when I became yours. She leaned in, forehead nearly touching his. But if the Atlas believes our bond is dangerous, it will destroy us both. Elias gasped, then break it. Her eyes darkened. I can't. Not alone. He trembled, pain clawing through his mind like a burning storm. What do we do? Her breath ghosted his cheek, cold, desperate, trembling. We do the one thing we never did in the last life. Elias swallowed hard. What? She whispered. We finish the bond. Before he could react, her hands slid to his temples, fingers glowing with starfire. Her telepathic energy pierced into him like molten light. The void ignited. The primordial Atlas roared, its tendrils thrashing violently. The glass-like platform shattered beneath them. But she held Elias suspended in the air, their bodies surrounded by spirals of glowing sigils. Elias screamed as the bond surged through him, memories crashing back like tidal waves that he saw. Her, standing on a burning planet, calling his name, bleeding starlight. He saw his past self holding her hand, promising never to leave her. He saw her sealed inside the coffin, whispering his name as the stone closed. He saw a kiss they shared in a forgotten lifetime. And then he saw his own death. It slammed into him brutally, cut a spear of cosmic metal piercing through his back as he shielded her from the Order's final strike. His last words echoed, "Find me in the next life." The present snapped back. Elias sobbed, from pain, from fear, from the unbearable weight of a love that spanned centuries. She cupped his face gently. Now you know why I never wanted you to remember. The Atlas roared again, its cosmic voice shaking reality. The bond is forbidden. It must be undone. Its tendrils shot toward them, ripping the void apart. She grabbed Elias, pulling him in her chest, wrapping her arm around him protectively as her blade formed a sphere of silver light. She whispered urgently, "Elias, look at me." He forced his eyes open. "Do you trust me?" He breathed, trembling. "Yes." "Then hold on." The Atlas's tendrils slammed into them, and she unleashed her power. Not the cold power she showed before. Not the violent energy she used to kill hunters. This was something deeper, the power of a goddess defending the soul she loved across lifetimes. The void exploded in white fire. Tendrils disintegrated. The Atlas shrieked. Time fractured into shards of frozen moments. She yelled, "Elias, finish the bond. Say it." He didn't know what she meant, but he felt it. Instinct. Memory. Destiny. He grabbed her hand, fingers interlocking with hers, and whispered the words he had spoken the moment he died centuries ago. "I choose you." The void detonated. An eruption of silver and blue light swallowed everything. The Atlas recoiled violently. Reality tore open like a wound. Her eyes widened, not with fear, not with power, with raw, overwhelming emotion. The bond sealed, a cosmic shockwave blasted across the universe. When the light died, they were gone. Both of them. The Atlas shrieked into the emptiness it could not understand. The universe trembled. And far away, in a place beyond stars or physics or memory, two silhouettes fell. Through a crack in reality, still holding each other, still connected, still bound. The air around the shattered temple vibrated like a dying star. Ash drifted in spirals, glowing faintly blue, as if refusing to settle over what had just happened in Scene 4. Kale stood frozen. And not because of fear, but because of her, Ellera, the deadliest warrior of a dead century. Her silver hair floated in the charged air, strands flickering like threads of lightning. Her blind eyes, once milky, unreadable, now pulsed with a strange violet radiance. Her blade, reawakened, hummed like a living creature starved for centuries. Everything was still. Everything was listening. Kale swallowed. Ellera, I'm sorry. I didn't know touching the blade would. She stepped forward, not walking, not gliding, but appearing closer, like reality skipped a frame just to put her near him. Kale, she whispered, and the entire temple trembled at the sound of his name. You woke me. You remembered me. He felt his heart tear in two directions, terror and something dangerously close to longing. Ellera lifted her hand to his face, but stopped just short of touching him. Her fingers shook. The deadliest warrior alive was trembling. I waited, she breathed. 2 centuries of darkness. Not knowing if the world survived, not knowing if I survived. A tear slid down her cheek, glowing, violet, like the blood of stars. Kale tried to speak. Didn't manage a single word. She finally touched him. It was gentle, soft, almost loving. And then, reality collapsed. The temple wall shot upward like rockets, tearing open into a sky Kale didn't recognize. Shattered moons hung, broken, in the heavens. Oceans boiled beneath the horizon. Mountains folded into themselves like dying beasts. Kale staggered back as visions forced themselves into his skull. Ellera as a soldier. Ellera as a weapon. Ellera burning worlds. Ellera saving worlds. Ellera dying in a war that history erased. Ellera stabbed through her heart, falling into darkness, whispering with her last breath. I will wake when someone remembers me. Kale gasped as the visions ended. Ellera watched him, breathing hard, as though dragging memories across universes had nearly broken her. This world, she whispered, is not the world I fell asleep in. Kale found his voice. It's dying. Ellera smiled. I said, Tera dying smile. No. It's waking up. Before he could ask what she meant, the ground split, and something colossal began rising beneath them. Not a creature, not a machine, something older. Something built before humanity rode its first light, a titan engine, a world killer, a world restorer, a relic of the war she fought. Ellera stared at it with hollow recognition. My last battlefield. Kale grabbed her arm. Ellera, what do we do? Her blind, glowing eyes turned to him. We finished what I couldn't. The titan engine roared, flooding the ruins with a gravitational storm. Rocks levitated. Water spiraled upward. Kale felt his bones stretch, vibrating under forces no human should survive. Ellera stepped in front of him, shielding him with her body. Something inside Kale broke at the sight, the deadliest warrior risking everything for a boy who'd only whispered one stupid sentence. Miss me. He touched her hand, the same way he'd touched her blade. This time, she didn't flinch. Instead, the ground stilled. The storms paused. The titan engine hesitated, as if listening that a single spark of blue light formed between their hands. Small at first, then bright enough to outshine the broken moons. What's happening? Kale gasped, voice shaking. Ellera whispered, voice trembling with both terror and hope. You're stabilizing me. I'm what? You're anchoring me. To this world. To life. Kale, you're the first soul in 200 years strong enough to pull me out of the dark. The titan engine screamed, a sound like galaxies being crushed. Ellera squared her stance, Kale still holding her hand. And for the first time, he didn't feel like a scared human standing beside a god. He felt like her equal, her partner. Ready? She asked. He nodded, terrified, shaking, certain, alive. And then they charged. The temple exploded behind them in a storm of stone and starlight as Ellera leaped, not with the grace of a warrior, but with the fury of a fallen legend reclaiming her throne. Kale ran beside her, mortal legs softened by arcs of energy flowing from her into him. They hit the titan engine in a double burst of force. Ellera's blade slicing through its armored core, Kale stabilizing the gravitational waves with every step, every heartbeat, every breath. The engine convulsed, screamed, collapsed. And then, silenced at a silence so complete, Kale could hear the blood in his veins. Ellera staggered. Kale caught her. She leaned into him, exhausted, shaking, real. Kale, she whispered, voice barely audible. You didn't just wake me. He cupped her face, steadying her. You saved me. Her lips trembled that a soft, impossible, heartbreaking smile appeared. And she breathed, saved you. The world around them began repairing itself. The sky stitching shut, mountains regrowing, oceans calming. The temple rose from rubble as if rewinding through time. The universe restoring itself because one dead warrior and one terrified boy refused to let it die. Ellera rested her forehead against his, an O blade between them this time, an O ward, and O darkness. Just two souls tied together across centuries. Kale. She whispered, tell me one last thing. Anything. Did you truly miss me? Kale smiled, tired, broken alive. With my whole life. Ellera closed her glowing eyes, and for the first time in 200 years, she breathed without pain.